I'm Nerida, welcome to Three Chairs. As you can see, we have three chairs, and I'm welcoming to the red chair, Luke Weston.
Great to be here, hello.
Nice to see you. And to the yellow chair, Lizzie Oakes.
Hi guys, good to see you.
Hi. Well, by way of introduction, I would just like to say that a couple of things about myself. I love Brussels sprouts, and I think I'm the only person in the country that loves Brussels sprouts. I'm a big fan of country music, and I ride a motorbike to work every day.
Very cool.
I love Brussels sprouts too. What sort of sprouts make your breath better? Bristle sprouts.
Oh gosh, we're on to the dad jokes already.
Come on.
What about yourself, Luke?
Well, I am a dad. I'm the father of one and the husband of two. No, actually, it's the other way around, I think. I also hold the record for the world's longest underwater broadcast.
Wow.
8 hours underwater. That wasn't a
Wow.
good moment in my life. And when I grow up, I want to play the flute.
Do you?
Absolutely.
Why?
It's just a lovely instrument.
I can play the flute.
Can you?
Yes.
Awesome.
Fun fact there. Lizzie, how about yourself?
Hi, I'm Lizzie, and I absolutely love lemon curd yogurt ice cream. It's my favourite flavour.
Yum.
I think that multitasking is completely overrated. In saying that, I can walk along the beach and eat an ice cream at the same time.
Nice. Well, today we are talking about gender equality. I thought we'd get to know each other with a few questions first. Lizzie,
Nice.
why don't you take the yellow rose there?
Great idea. I'll do just that.
Oh.
Luke, I think this one's for you. Do you have any phobias or things that you intensely dislike?
Oh.
Yes, I do. I have a little...
His employees.
Oh, no. I have a little phobia of dogs, to be
Okay.
honest. Very, very slender phobia, slight. And it goes from when I was a paper boy doing the New Zealand Herald, got attacked by an Alsatian. And so if I see a big dog, especially, I'm like, ooh.
Across the road.
Yeah, but I have sort of overcome it, I think. Also, they shed hair. And boy, oh boy, do I hate that on my jacket.
How about you, Nerida?
Phobias?
Yes.
I hate snakes so much. Hate them.
Oh,
a
well,
lot.
there's so
Hate them
many
with a
around
passion.
too.
I know, that's why I quite like living in New Zealand. And cockroaches, there are plenty of those in New Zealand, don't like them.
Actually, can I just add to that? I hate rats with a passion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No one likes rats.
Indeed.
No, they're a bit gross.
All right, is it me next? I think I'm the red chair, so I'll pull out the red rose. Oh, what a doozy. I haven't read it yet. What superpower would you like to have? This is to you, Nerida, first. And what mundane, everyday power would you like to have?
Oh, wow. I think superpower would be quite cool to be invisible, because you could ride the buses for free, you could find out what's going on in offices and back rooms. And
Wow, she's really using her imagination. I could ride the bus for free.
Well, I
$2 up.
Okay. What was the other question?
And what sort of mundane, everyday power would you like to have?
Mundane everyday power. I think I'd be able to, if I could click my fingers and the house would be clean, that'd be handy.
That is good.
I agree. That would be my mundane power, that basically I could probably do the housework whilst lying on the sofa. And the other one is I'd like to be able to fly, because I don't like traffic, and it would just be, you know, boom, I think I'm at work, bang, and I am.
That's great. What about your mundane, everyday one?
Mundane's the lying on the sofa and my housework kind of gets done for itself.
Nice. I think the trouble with the flying one, I just worry about the practicalities of staying warm. And does that mean you'd have to wear tights?
You
Or
could
like-
have a
this-
onesie,
You have this
put all my hair
superpower
in
that
it.
means that you have everything you need.
You know what I mean? Because then you'd be flying, and like Luke got the power of flight yesterday, but he died of hypothermia last night on his way home.
No, I'm going to have
so-
like a onesie suit.
That'd be a
but
shame.
I can keep my hair, because you can imagine if I didn't have that,
Oh,
some
man.
sort of hairnet.
Yeah.
You
Same.
guys are
We need
super
another
interesting.
superpower. We need another superpower to keep your hair good.
Yeah.
Polyurethane hair power. That's what it's called. Ask a question.
I think I
Me?
asked a
Oh,
question.
yes,
It's
sorry.
Nerida's
Remember
turn.
how it works? Remember how it works?
All right. Okay, Luke, if you could be cast in a movie of your choice, what movie would you choose and what character would you play?
Oh, look, I have no interest in being in a movie, but if I had to be in a movie, I'd like to be in something quite sinister, you know, like Toy Story. Would be awesome to just be the voice of like a Toy Story character, wouldn't it?
That'd
That'd
be
be
cool.
Like I'd quite like to be a mole
Because the moles can't sing and I go, it's got a cold because of the dirt.
You'd make a very cute mole.
It's not really a toy, though.
Okay. Lizzie?
Well, when I was a kid, I really loved Annie. So if you could just take a few years off me and then I could be Annie with the hair and the singing and the dancing, and it'll be lots of fun.
I would be some kind of secret agent with guns.
Yep.
And, you know, dressed in black with a
Yep.
cape and stuff like
With a
that.
cape, too.
You'd be good
wow.
at that.
Yeah, no,
The Cape
everything.
Crusader.
Everything, yeah.
Guns and a cape.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
I'm
good.
not sure what actual character that is, but that's what I'd be doing.
Okay.
I like
Yeah.
it.
You guys are fascinating. Just a bit of irony that when Nerida and Lizzie were asked what superheroes they would like to be, they picked Superman and Mr. Invisible, both of whom are males.
Well, today on Three Tiers, we're talking equality. I've got a great question for you guys. Do you think we have enough females in leadership roles in business and in ministry?
No.
Oh, straight off the bat. Why?
Oh, you just read statistically about businesses and like there's not a huge amount of women who are actually in leadership. I mean, there's more than there used to be, but there's room for more.
Would you rather that you just shoehorned females into those positions for the sake of their gender, or that you actually had the best people in the jobs, though? Because aren't we living in that world now where we just want the best people rather than who they are in terms of their gender identity or any other identity?
Oh, I do think the best person in the job for sure, but sometimes...
As long as they're a woman.
Here, here.
Yeah, you've said it all.
Yes, we call that sexism, ladies. Yeah.
No, that's
a
not,
thing.
I didn't mean that.
But I just love it when I see myself represented in ministry or in business or something. When there's another woman that's my kind of age that is a manager or is
Yeah.
in a leadership position in a church sort of setting or something, it means a lot to me.
Do you know, though, it depends on what you identify with, doesn't it? Because I get that feeling when I see a woman leading or a woman who's speaking or say our Prime Minister, and I just identify with different things about that person, like the fact that she's a Kiwi or the fact that she's
I think
from
you're
a
just-
similar part of the world that I'm from. Do you have to identify with your gender?
I think because you being a male are so used to being represented in places like that, whereas for myself it's just so unique that is the main thing that I notice.
Yeah, that's my point. It just depends what you identify with.
Lizzie?
Yeah, well, I think, you know, you look at some businesses and they've got the executive leadership and there's just a bunch of blokes there. You know, I just think, come on, we could at least have one woman in there. You know, it doesn't have to be 50-50 like what you're saying, but I just think representationally that it's good to have a woman's point of view on there, on the boards and one thing and another.
Do you think women in leadership are respected?
I think so, yeah. I mean, it depends on the organisation, I guess, and depends what part of the world. I'm sure if you ask the question in Saudi Arabia, you get a different answer. But I think in New Zealand, there are lots of women in leadership. In fact, our Prime Minister is a woman and very respected, maybe one of our most highly respected leaders of all time. So
Yeah.
I would have to say yes.
Yeah, I think so. And the fact that we've actually had 3 female Prime Ministers in this country is pretty cool.
Do you think, though, that sometimes when a woman is in leadership, there's that danger for them to be seen as like the ice queen or, you know, the real
the
cold-hearted one?
Yeah, or the token woman,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that is kind of, I hate that.
Well, there's nothing worse, though, than when the person is genuinely icy, though, and then you just get accused of calling somebody icy
You just can't win, can you?
No, well, that's the point, though,
Yeah.
isn't it? It's like a man doesn't have that excuse to make. If a man is a nasty piece of work, it's just a nasty piece of work. But he can't say, well, you're just saying that because I'm a bloke.
But if a man is quite strong and decisive, then he's seen as strong and decisive. Whereas
Well,
it's
I
often
mean,
if a
Trump's
woman...
not seen like that, is
No,
he?
he's not. Well,
No.
I don't know.
Strong and
but if a
decisive.
woman is strong and decisive, often they're seen as, oh, she's just being very bossy.
Yeah, that's true.
Maybe. 20 years ago, maybe.
Not
Yeah,
now.
there's still a bit of that around, I think.
Maybe not.
Do you think
Stop
women
being
need
so
to...
icy, Lizzie.
Touche. Do you think that women need to stand up for themselves?
Depends who you talk to. I mean, I think anybody needs to stand up for themselves, you know, for truth and equality, whether a man or a woman. Obviously, we're really talking about women. I mean, I think of the story of the women overseas that actually, in the Middle East, that weren't allowed to drive, you know, and they actually had to break the law for the law to change. They had to rely on a man to drive them just because he was a man, and he didn't even necessarily have a driver's licence, and they did. So, yeah.
Amazing, eh? And I think it's just great where we have come from. You know, there was an element of that in New Zealand, you know, 40 years ago. You know, women, their job prospects was like a teacher or a secretary or a nurse or something. And now here we are doing all sorts of other things. So we have come a long way.
We have. And I particularly remember in the 80s, which Luke wouldn't remember, but there was this whole marketing campaign and it was like, girls can do anything. And I think that would have really led to a lot of women actually ending up in trades. Like when I was a young girl, you didn't really see police women. Now it's really normal to see a policeman and a policewoman, you know, and women in trades. And even around where we work, I see women working on construction sites. I mean, I wouldn't want to do that, but if that's what you want to do,
well, I was in an intermediate school when that whole Girls Can Do Anything campaign started, and it really ignited something in me, so much so that my dad said, why don't you be a lineswoman? I'm like, okay, I'll be a lineswoman. And so that was my career path for the next year or so.
Working on power lines?
Yes.
I hope you're not scared of heights.
I chose not to do that after a while, but you know, it was like something that was pretty massive at the time.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. I think the word equality is an interesting one because I don't think we genuinely want an equal society. I think what we want is a society where our differences are cherished and valued. So equal means that we're all the same, but it means equal rights and equal opportunity. But you still want a society and where someone can celebrate the fact that you are different. And a woman, dare I say it, is different to a man. Yeah. So this idea that a woman does exactly the same thing as a man, I think we will look back on this time in history and think, that was rough, that was wrong.
Mm. All right, last question. Have you ever judged someone because of their gender?
Yeah, I'm sure I have.
I know I have.
I think I've done it without realising. You know, I think we all have ingrained judgments that we don't want to admit to, but if you catch yourself sometimes thinking, you know, making a judgment, and it can be gender-based towards a male or a female, to be honest.
No, I don't think so.
Really?
No.
Really?
No.
So when you go into, say, like Bunnings or Mitre 10, one of those sorts of stores, and you want some advice on a certain type of paint.
I don't ever need advice in a hardware store. I know all the answers.
And there's a young female there. Would you be thinking, I'd rather talk to a male? Have you ever thought that?
No, I don't think so.
Wow.
No, I'm just so pleased of the attention. It's a person to perform to.
Whereas I'm going to be completely honest, I would probably look for the older male, you know, who looked like he had a bit of knowledge and...
As long as he's not on the executive, though.
That's what I mean.
No, I've definitely done that. Yeah, no, for sure. I have kind of thought, I wonder if there's a man here who actually knows what he's talking about. Isn't that terrible?
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, girls, can I just say, you need to take yourselves off the hook here, right? Start treating yourselves better.
Oh, nice line there, Luke. Nice line. You know, just talking about equality makes me really grateful for my upbringing in a family where I think just as being a girl, I could do anything. Like my dad taught me how to do engineering. He taught me how to ride a motorbike at a really young age. He had expectations for me to do anything I wanted to do. There was no sort of gender roles or anything like that. It was just equal all the way. And I think that really shaped me for the person I am today. And I think that girls can do anything. And I'm grateful to have grown up in that era. We're talking about equality on Three Cheers, and we're going to continue the discussion. Can women do some of the traditional male roles just as well?
Go for it, Lizzie.
Well,
Any takers?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you were talking earlier about you considered a career as a lineswoman. I mean, a woman can do that. A woman can be a builder. A woman can be a policeman. A woman can be a civil engineer. It's sort of an astronaut.
I don't think a woman can be a sumo wrestler. I think that's an exclusively man vocation at the moment. But you guys could break through.
They might have mini sumos. You don't have to be quite so large.
No, it's not the size. I think that
it?
is genuinely a male thing
I thought it was
in
about
Japan.
the capacity of your...
Well, you need girth too,
rolls.
Lizzie. You really do.
But do you think that, say, a woman can do a traditional male role that does require a certain amount of strength?
Well,
See, the interesting one, to answer this in a roundabout way, is when it comes to, say, the tennis, Wimbledon tennis,
yeah.
right? And there was pay equality for women, but women play one less set than men at the tennis. Yeah, they do.
I didn't know that.
So I'm like, just from a purely entertainment perspective, you're getting less tennis for the same amount of money.
But they might take longer to do those sets.
Well, that's true. It's not an exact science, but you get my drift, don't you?
I get your drift, yeah.
I mean, it's the same with why is a female rugby in this country regarded differently to male rugby,
Yeah,
although female
why is
rugby
it?
has come a long way.
But they don't get paid, do they?
No, they don't. But that's a good question, I think. And I guess part of that is to do with advertising and how much people want to watch women playing rugby, for example.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a good question, Nerida.
Great question.
I would like to say that
Right.
we have lots of female broadcasters at Rima
We
Media.
do.
And they're doing just as well as the men.
And what
A-okay.
happens, what happens with maternity leave then? So say as an employer, you have the choice between male and female, both similar sort of age, perhaps in their, late 20s, 30s. I mean, I know you can't discriminate, but surely there'd be something going on in the back of your mind.
I can talk about this one till the cows come home because I have lost so many members of staff to maternity leave, and it really is annoying. Not the fact that they're having babies, but the fact that you just lose them from your lineup. And I think of one girl in particular who left twice to have two separate babies. And each time it was like just when the show was getting really well known. And then it's like, well, see, I'm going to be gone for 9 months. And it is a problem, but that's just the way it is. I guess we've got to ask ourselves, do we want babies?
Yeah.
Then yes, we kind of need to let them have time off.
We do, because I know that that has been a problem. I just think of various other friends' businesses. And the women go off and have their children, and then it's a year later that they're back, and then they're off again having another baby, and it is quite disruptive. But I guess they bring different skills back into the business.
What about breastfeeding in Parliament? Because that's the most recent one in New Zealand, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Can I go there?
You can go
You've
there.
gone there.
I mean, I think you're paying those people a lot of money.
Yeah.
You've voted them in based on the fact that they're going to work as hard as they possibly can for you, and it really matters, doesn't it? Do you want that person giving the job 60% of the attention because they're also looking after a child? And if a man did that, hey, just got a few things to do for the family here, got to do the budget. While I am listening to the speaker though at the same time, would that go down as well?
Well, I guess the
Just a question.
Parliament example, that woman is probably working longer hours at home as well. It might look like she's working less hours to the TV viewers.
No, I agree.
Oh.
She's got other responsibilities, but does that mean that she's not giving her constituents the attention that that job deserves? Is that really something that we should be championing as a country? Or should we be saying there are certain positions that require so much attention that actually you need to make the choice on whether you have a family at the same time?
Well, I guess she became the Prime Minister, and then she discovered that she was pregnant.
Oh, this is another. There are other
others?
people in Parliament who,
Okay.
who are breastfeeding at the same time.
Well, that
I wasn't
leads me
aware of
on to
that.
my next
All of them
question.
women.
Funny that. Girls can do anything.
All right, well, the next question. Will men and women, all of us, ever consider that women will be equal to men?
Well, I guess we're equal value. I mean, God created us as
We've
men.
spent most of this conversation talking about how women are treated less than men, but I actually think the reverse is often true in our society. You can make as much fun as a man in advertising
Yeah,
as
that's
you
true.
like. You couldn't possibly do it with a female. You can treat men how you want to treat them, especially, dare I say it, certain groups of men who have been in the majority for so long. And I guess the argument is, hey, they can handle it because they've had it good for so many generations. But I don't think that the way to fight inequality is with inequality. I think that there is a time coming, surely, where we genuinely don't see the difference between people when it comes to our rights. And that's where we need to be heading.
I've actually noticed that, you'll see some sitcoms and the dad is made as the dumb one and he's sort of like the butt of the joke and everyone, all the canned laughter, and you're like, it's not even that funny. And I have actually sat there as a woman and thought, you know what, that's actually quite sexist. Yeah, good point, Luke. Hey, so you guys, something that really annoyed me when I was young, about 13 years old, and I was at this church and we were having like a lunch, and somebody started talking about Job, and because I knew that part of the Bible, I shared my thought, and there was a room full of people and they sort of nodded, and I remember feeling like it was really cool that people had listened to what I had to say. And then a moment later it was like, yeah, but I'll never be able to preach because I'm not a male. So the church that I grew up in, there were no female preachers, so I'm thinking this was probably early to mid-80s.
Wow.
And I'd never even seen a female preacher, and I literally thought, because I'm a female, this makes me null and void and I can't communicate. Now, obviously, I work as a communicator and as a broadcaster, and there's heaps of incredible female preachers out there, but that's just, to me, that was really, you know, looking back and reflecting on that, I just think it's so sad.
It's amazing how far we've come, because I love the church that I go to, because the pastor made a real effort to make sure that there were women up the front doing various things, preaching or doing whatever it might be. And it is really nice to see yourself represented up the front. I love that.
The church I go to, I mean, husband and wife, they're both fantastic preachers. There's lots of other female, I mean, it's just, that was a whole different world. It's like, thank you, Jesus, I don't want to live there, and I don't believe God wants me to live there either, you know?
I guess the issue with this conversation and with conversations like this, and we see it in the correspondence that comes in through Shine TV and the radio networks as well, is that a lot of these issues, you know, you go back 50 years and even, you know, earlier than that, and they were fundamental church issues, but kind of the world moves on and the church has to move with it. And I guess the argument is, if that can move, then what else has to move as well? And what are the things that we're doing in 2019 as a church that in 50 years' time are going to be obsolete or just don't work? And we'll be sitting here going, I can't believe we used to do that. Real cups of tea on a Sunday. Or whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's interesting. I was talking before about how when I was young and I had this desire to be a preacher, and I thought, I can't do it because somebody told me that I couldn't because I was a woman. And it's kind of funny because now working in Christian radio and talking every day for a living, which I absolutely love, maybe in a funny way, I am actually living out that dream. And that makes me pretty happy.
Well, thanks for joining us on Three Cheers today. It was quite a heated discussion. Luke, did you enjoy it?
Had a great time. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Lizzie?
It was a lot of fun. There was a little bit of a heated discussion, but I'll sort Luke out later.
Whoa, serious.
As long as my laundry's done.
Thank you for joining us on Three Cheers. We'll catch you next time.